So Joe Biden tries to sell himself as the kind and caring guy, the man with character, and then he bases his whole fucking campaign on the Fine People hoax. Do I care that he's a lying piece of shit? Not really. I don't care if Biden is an asshole. I mean, politicians can be bad people. I don't really care that he's a lying piece of shit. But I do care that he painted a target on my back. This is personal. This isn't about politics anymore. This isn't about the tax rate. This isn't about anything except this asshole, one of the worst people in the whole world, just painted another target on my back. Now, it would be one thing if he had said it once. I'd say, well, he tried it out, it didn't work. But making it the centerpiece of his whole campaign, that is going to make me vote for the first time. First time recently. As you know, I famously don't vote because I don't want to be biased. I don't want to be on a team. But I think this is not about politics anymore. This is self-defense. I'm going to vote for self-defense because this guy can't be in charge. Not with a race hoax. Now people are going to say, well, what about Trump? What about the things he says that are not true? Well, yeah, he might say some things that don't pass the fact checkers. Maybe. But are they ever like this? This isn't like anything he's ever done. He told you he wanted to keep crime out of the country, and then that turned into he's a racist. Trying to protect your country is the job of the president. It's the opposite of what Joe Biden is doing. He's not trying to protect the country. He's trying to tear it apart. The Fine People hoax is not like other lies. It's the tentpole hoax that makes people who are stupid and believe the fake news think that it's all true. Because if they see this one's true, they say, well, it must be true that the other thing they're saying about it is true. It's the only one that they think they saw with their own eyes and heard with their own ears, because it got edited so they don't hear the clarification. And because they're sure that one's true, it makes all the other things that don't have actual evidence or any credibility to them whatsoever seem clearly true. But worse, it makes it seem like anybody who supports Trump must clearly know that he was supporting these fine people, and therefore it makes us look like assholes. Joe Biden, if you're making your fellow citizens targets for violence and discrimination, and you're doing it intentionally, you are not worthy of being a citizen in this country, much less a leader. You have not qualified at the basic level of understanding the Constitution, which should treat us equally and should not have you targeting your fellow citizens for violence and for discrimination. You piece of shit. And it's worse. It's worse than that. Here's why it's worse. And I just wrote a blog on locals that I shared. You can see this. Even if you're not a subscriber, I shared it on Twitter so you can see it. Joe Biden has introduced a new form of slavery. That's right. He just introduced a new form of slavery. Because this Fine People hoax has the intention of, first of all, winning the election, but also to bind black people, black voters, to the Democrat Party. If he does that, and it looks like he's succeeding, he has once again taken away all black political power. If you live in this country and you're allegedly a citizen, shouldn't you get some political power? How about that? Why do white people have political power? Why do they? How come black people can't have political power? Because you don't have any political power if you just vote Democrat. Because asshole Joe Biden told you the biggest lie in American history, and you bought it. You believed it because you watch CNN and you think it's news. It's not news. It stopped being news several years ago. It's pure propaganda. And you know who else is? Fox News. Fox News, you are just as guilty as CNN. No better. No better. I will make exceptions for some of the hosts on Fox News. Greg Gutfeld, being a notable exception, has called out this hoax. But it's pretty clear that whoever is producing Fox News is not too interested in killing this hoax. It's pretty clear. So whoever is running Fox News, you assholes, you assholes, fix this. You've got the responsibility because you're the main vehicle or voice for the people who support Trump, or you used to be. What the happened? What the happened? I turned on the news last night and I'm watching Fox News talking about what a great speech it is, without talking about the center of the speech being the biggest race hoax in the lie. How the do you leave that out? How is that not the most important thing to say about the whole event? That he was tearing the country apart intentionally with a hoax. How is that okay? Media Matters is trying to debunk the debunk and acting as if there go those crazy right-wing people acting like it didn't happen when we all saw it on video. Yeah, you saw the hoax video, you assholes. Everybody saw the hoax because that's the one you show. Show the rest of it, If you read the Media Matters piece that tries to debunk the debunk, it actually includes the statement where Trump says specifically he's not talking about the racists. They actually include that and act like you didn't see it. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. So, Joe Biden, you piece of shit, don't try to sell us on character when that's the worst thing anybody's ever done as a politician in this country. You can't find anything that Trump did, anything that Nixon did that's worse than this. Nothing. All right. I might have a few more things to say about this. John Avlon, the douchebag on CNN who just says everything that Republicans do is terrible, he said this morning: empathy and decency may be the word most used in this convention. Really? Empathy and decency. Because those are the qualities that define Biden. Let's take that as true. Let's say that according to the people who support Biden, the qualities that define him are empathy and decency. Good. That would be a reason not to make him the president. Let me explain to you what a good leader is. A good leader is somebody who can do some hard stuff. A good leader is tough. You want a leader who has empathy, but not as their guiding principle, because if empathy is your guiding principle, you're going to get walked on. China is going to eat your lunch like they will if Biden is president. Iran is going to take over the Middle East because you're a pussy who's leading with your empathy and decency. Do you know what I want less of? Less of that for my commander-in-chief. Less of that. Yeah, I want somebody who obviously cares. You want somebody who wants what's good for the country. But the presidency is unique. You need a warrior there, and somebody who's a warrior against your enemies, not somebody who's a warrior against your own citizens, which is what Biden has literally promoted himself as being. I will be the guy who demonizes half of the country. Elect me. No, I want him to demonize China, who's sending boatloads of their fentanyl over here to kill our citizens, while your son is taking $1 billion from them. Disqualified. Disqualified. You shouldn't be a dog catcher in this country, much less the president. I want a president who has transparency and has married his own personal fate to the fate of the country. You get that? There is no scenario in which a president can do a job and somehow it works out well for the guy who did the job. That's not a thing. There's too much transparency, too many people watching, even in the room, all the secret stuff, it would all come out. There is no scenario in which Trump could even imagine in his head that there's something that would be good for him that's simultaneously bad for the country. You want that guy. You want a warrior who cares, cares about the country. Trump obviously does. And I would say that anybody who becomes president cares about the country. That is the lowest standard. You could throw a dart into a crowd and find somebody who cared about the country. That's not hard. You couldn't set the bar lower for Joe Biden. Do you know what they don't say when they're complimenting him? Oh, they do say, oh, he's got some empathy and some decency. What they don't say is he's got capability. They don't say he's got a good track record, because he doesn't. They don't say his brain is working, because it isn't. They don't say he could survive the first term, because he can't. Then, of course, he had his incredible ideas for coronavirus, which is to reword Trump's actual current policy into angry dementia talk and act like it's not happening. And he can depend on his lapdogs and the fake news to report it just the same way. Like Trump isn't doing any of these things. Oh, do you know what Trump never thought of? How about rapid testing? Trump never thought of rapid testing. Did anybody not think of rapid testing? That's Biden's big improvement. How about if we'll do, I've got an idea. How about doing rapid testing? Yeah, nobody thought of that before. If we could do that right away, we'd be doing rapid testing. Now, it should be noted that there's a different kind of test, the paper strip kind of test that you don't have to mail anywhere, and you don't need a machine. It just changes color. That kind of test, the Trump administration has not told us why they won't use it, and they won't tell us they will. That's a failure. If you'd like to see me being objective, I would say that they have failed completely. So let me keep my scorn all the places it belongs. Whatever the is happening with the FDA, and by the way, Trump needs to explain this. All right, Trump not talking about this topic of the paper test strips, even to rule it out, which would be fine if there's a reason to rule it out. I'd like to hear it, but not talking about it is disqualifying too. If you don't hear Trump talk about this in the next few weeks, him too. I'm voting for Kanye. Seriously, I'm going to vote for Kanye. If I don't hear anything about these test strips, because that's not even close to competent. All right? I think most of the other stuff with the coronavirus, I'd say, is as good as you could do under the situation. But whatever that happens with these test strips, which, by the way, is not what Biden was talking about. He doesn't know the difference between the types of tests. He just said, oh, how about fast testing? Like we hadn't thought of that. No, Trump's got some explaining to do. This is a fail without even at least talking about it. The test strips, specifically the paper test strips that don't require a machine and don't have to be sent anywhere to get a result. So apparently there was a big mistake by the anti-Biden people in painting him as so incompetent that he couldn't appear in public. And CNN managed to turn this into, people, and even Fox News did this. Even Fox, Chris Wallace was saying, anybody who thought Biden would be, unable to, put his words together, they were disappointed, because you could see Biden was perfectly capable that night. Perfectly capable at what? He gave the shortest acceptance speech in modern history. Did you know that? It was the shortest one. Coincidence? Is it a coincidence that the guy who might not have too much stamina also had the shortest acceptance speech? Could be a coincidence. Probably not. And did anybody on the right believe that Biden was incapable of reading off a teleprompter what was essentially his stump speech that he's probably got memorized? Nobody really thought he was so gone yet that he couldn't read and stand. All he did last night is stand upright for less time than any modern president before him, or even candidate, and read. He read in public. And what did these people on CNN do? They had tears in their eyes. Oh, it was the best speech Joe Biden has ever done. He's unified the country. We have finally found real leadership. All he did was stand for a little bit and read a teleprompter. And now he's the best politician who ever lived. I think we set the bar a little too low. Let me remind CNN and all the idiots over there, as well as at Fox, that the bar is, can he do things that are new? That's the question. Nobody's really questioning whether he can read. I don't know if anybody has said he's so gone, I don't know if he can read. Nobody said that. And, you know, it's the CNN way to conflate things that don't belong together. Can you debate is a little bit different from can you read. Those are not similar tasks. All right. Maybe that's all I needed to say.